I'll rewind just a little bit so that you get caught up with where we were last week. Melissa pulled the notebook back and aimed her pencil at him, point first. A play! I'm already writing one, and Miss Loop can direct it, and Bo could be in it, and... What good would that do? Gary broke in. Besides, I think Miss Loop's going to get fired. What? Melissa almost dropped her pencil. She can't get fired. How do you know? Well, maybe she'll quit before they can fire her, said Gary, because right now she can't even handle a fire drill. I don't think they'll let her keep being a teacher. They all turned on her. She put her fists on her hips. Well, it's true. Why couldn't they see everything was falling apart? There they all were, said Trey. He walked over to the chalkboard and drew a picture of the school with an amoeba-like presence around it, deep in the quagmire of ignorance. They were up to their necks. They had quicksand tickling their throats. He began to add little green figures around the perimeter of the school, reaching in to save the sinking students. Melissa looked at the arms reaching in to rescue the disappearing bodies. She flipped to another page in her notebook. Be kind. That's what she said to do. Be kind. I'm walking out. I still have my pictures. I still have my plan. This is... Gary stopped when she saw what Trey was now drawing. A battlefield, except this one was set in the interior of the school. It was a map of the hallways, the cafeteria, the principal's office, the library, and the classrooms. He filled them all with soldiers, holding their positions, ready to fight. It was like her plan B, except bigger and better. Bo was showing Trey's drawing to the little green figure. You see, soldier, he barked in his drill sergeant's voice, art is arranging objects, even you, to create beauty. Gary felt like stars were exploding inside her. That's what was wrong with her plan. Yeah, it might bring her mom home. It might get her out of here. But what picture would it leave in her mom's head of her? Her plan didn't create anything beautiful, and her mom would know all the time. There was a noise in the hall. Footsteps. Melissa gasped. Gary grabbed her backpack and the little green man and ran to the window. She lifted the frame and crawled out. Bo was right behind her. Melissa, Trey. One by one, they flipped themselves over the sill and thumped onto the grass. Trey reached up and slid the window pane back down. They crouched in the patchy grass underneath and pressed their backs against the rough brick wall. Any minute now, someone was going to see them. Any minute now. They saw a light come on in the classroom. They heard the muffled sound of the trash can being emptied. The bang of a mop against a pail. Gary gripped the lone, battered Arby figure in her fist. Pick your battles, baby, pick your battles, or you'll lose them all. Come on, said Gary. In single file, they hugged the side of the building and followed her around to the other side of the school. Where are we going? We should just go home, said Melissa. I'm not sure which one it is, said Gary. She surveyed the windows. She thought she was in the right place, but she might be lost. One window was smaller than the rest, dark and cramped. She peered inside. Yes. Her mom helped save wounded soldiers. She knew how to help save Miss Loop. Look, Bo stuck his face near the glass. I can't see anything. It's too dark. Wait. I'm sorry, Mom. If I do this, you'll have to stay over there a while. And I'll have to stay here. Bo's eyes adjusted. It was a bathroom. In the dank and shadowed space, he saw piles of little green figures lying all over the sinks and the floors. Wow, did you do that? Melissa looked, then Trey. Gary took a deep breath. We have to change what Miss Loop is seeing, she said. We have to make it beautiful. How do you know what Miss Loop is seeing? Said Melissa. How can you be sure? Gary said slowly, because that, she gestured at the window, that's what's in my head too. The flight suit in the glass case flashed in Beau's mind. He knew exactly what Gary meant. "I think we should post soldiers like that all over the school," said Gary, "but not lying down, upright, thousands of them." "Why?" said Trey. "Because," said Beau. He looked directly at Gary. "Everyone you know is fighting a battle." Gary nodded. Beau continued, "And we're in this one with Miss Loop. Maybe it was the tape space still holding them together. Maybe it was like a camera lens had framed the four of them, and someone snapped a picture they could all be a part of. Or maybe it was that they each thought for a split second where they would be standing in the school if someone came to them and said what Mrs. Hurd had said to Miss Loop. They didn't see how the whole thing would play out. Not yet, but—" "Yes," said Trey. "Yes," said Melissa. "Yes," said Beau. "The first thing to do," said Gary, "is get those men out of that bathroom. I don't want that to be what anyone sees first." "We'll go in and get them," said Beau. "I superglued them to the floor," said Gary. "No problem," said Beau. Gary's bruise above her eye started to ache. "Yes, it's a problem. No problem getting off superglue. I accidentally glued some pennies to the inside of the dryer once." "Accidentally?" said Melissa. Beau shrugged. "Mom used nail polish remover and they came right off." "Miss Purdy has nail polish," said Melissa. "I bet she has the remover, too." "I'll go," said Trey. He punched Beau's arm and grinned. "You can't afford to get caught, Weenie. Your dad would kill you." Beau punched back. "Yours wouldn't?" But he thought, "Dad, this is the right thing, isn't it?" They met again the next day, and the next. Each day that week they left the school by the front door, and each day they came back in by the window. They sat in the tape space with the army figures they had rescued and made their plans. Gary proposed that they break down, step by step, how they would accomplish their goal. "It's going to take longer than you think to fill a whole school," she warned. "Yes, and we should get other people to help too," said Melissa. "We should start with Miss Candy. Everybody goes into the library." "Yes, and we'd a big reason for them to help us," said Beau. "Not just for art, for a good cause. My mom does scholarships and stuff. She gets people to say yes all the time." Trey said, "Yes, and we should draw or take pictures of everything. Pictures make people pay attention, and, Mrs. Hurd likes them." Beau took all the little green figures out of Gary's bag and arranged and rearranged them while he listened. Finally, he jumped up and started pacing, addressing the room. "Got it, new recruits? We started at the beginning and we're fighting our way to the end. In case you forget, I'm right here to kick your butt." "Knock it off, Beau," said Gary. "First things first." Beau picked up one of the little green figures and tucked it into position on Miss Loop's desk. "This one is first," he said. "Go ahead, take the pictures." Gary zeroed in on the soldier and snapped the first picture on her new roll of film. The four of them left room 208 and quietly closed the door. The next day, Miss Loop found a single green figure next to Mark's framed quote and a note. "I don't know, but I'm told it's true. You're not lost till they stop looking for you." It was the start of Operation Yes.